The thing about episode 17 of Shangri-La Frontier is it's finally come to me why this fight feels so special, and it's mostly because what this fight is doing with Wethermon, who we're now part 3, we're going into part 4, might even go into a part 5 potentially. The fact that we have this very long fight that when you think of a lot of battle shonens and some of the biggest named anime that have fights that last dozens of episodes, hell, sometimes they have fights that only last a few episodes, but you find yourself getting winded and bored. Whether that's because the anime's adapting the source materials poorly, or just the fight is just, the characters stop. The characters will stop and talk rather than another character sneaking up behind trying to take a cheap shot. Yet you have an episode like this, which we're now part 3 of this fight. Sure, last week and this week were longer than part 1, but still, the fact that we actually do have a moment where the boss that we're fighting takes a moment to talk, but you're not going to come out of that saying, oh, they did that to drag it out. No, you come out saying, oh, that's really interesting. The whole Vorpal Bunny plotline that's super unique and seemingly only our boy Sunraku has achieved. Yeah, the reason about that is because he got that unique cutscene, that unique piece of dialogue, but the fight still continues. Each of the 3 different forms that we fought, and Wave 3 probably is actually going to be the last, but Wave 3 is so much more complex. And the fact that you look at the 2 different perspectives fighting. We have our duo going up against what was a horse turned into a Gundam, and then of course we have the suit of armor that, you know, we could go about this cheese. We could cheese this boss, and we've probably all been there at one point cheesing a boss that was meant to be defeated one certain way, and we could wait it out, let it like armor break off. But when we have a character like Sunraku and his pal, no. This is supposed to be a god tier game, not a trash game, so we're gonna fight that thing through and through. And Jesus Christ, man, this is what a lot of battle shonens wish they could be. This isn't a battle shonen anime, but it has a better formula for a battle shonen fight than most battle shonen anime out there. Not all of them, mind you, there are some good ones, especially in modern times, but you have to admit, the art of having a very long, multi-episode fight, not a lot get it right. But this is hands down the best fight of Shangri-La, and easily one of the best fights I've seen in anime in the past year. No questions asked. I, of course, have a full live reaction to today's wonderful episode of Shangri-La Frontier over on my Patreon, so if you want to see my full uncut thoughts, they're over there if you're interested. This was great. This was fantastic. They definitely had me bamboozled with the end. I knew he was gonna get a revival gem, or at least I was like 51% confidence he would get a revival gem. They were a little far away, but the idea that when that attack goes off, when you can clear the sky, man, you cleave the sky, exposing the moon above, and as soon as he's like, I'm gonna deflect with my helmet, I was like, no, you're not, buddy. Like, that beetle helmet is cracking and going away. And he gets a deadly, deadly slash. That's not gory in the way that, like, oh, he just rips in two. I feel like it's worse. It was almost like it was disintegrating his insides. And it's a damn good thing he has one of the max revival gems left, because he threw that bitch up there, and it's gonna come tumbling down on him. He prepared for the worst, and thank God he did, because otherwise he would have been shit out of luck. I don't think that would have reached him if they threw it. 10 seconds in terms of death to revival, they're dealing with their own thing. I don't think they would have got there in time. I mean, it would have been possible if that happened that they then start playing it safe and maybe waiting things out, but I mean, it very well could have ended right there. And there's no do-overs. Like, ignoring the monetary loss about this whole situation, ignoring the permanent penalties like our boy's going through, like, he's gonna be back down to level 20 once that buff is gone after 15 minutes or so. Everything about this has so much loss just on that, but there isn't gonna be another opportunity to fight this boss. Like, now that everything is the way it is, like, it's over. It's completely over. This is your one shot to make it right, and I really hope they can do it. I'm still siding with our boy, but like, the thing about how this wave started is the only reason they're not all dead is because she got annihilated with her PKing party at this wave before, so she knew what to expect with the holy water and was able to protect them. Everything after is completely new territory, and as we saw with the attack that cleaved heaven and earth, and our boy included, I mean, that's the type of attack that can come out at any point, and the thing's getting faster. Like, it doesn't feel like it's getting weaker as time goes on. It feels like it's getting faster and faster, and no matter how many criticals he got on him, it has you, like, this feels like rooting for your favorite sports team. It really does. I feel like I'm watching a UFC fight at certain points, man. Like, just the way they're going at it. The animation, how it's remained to be this polished, I have no idea. I honestly have to imagine that the 4 or 5 minutes they sometimes get, well, they always get it, but sometimes it can be like 4 or 5 minutes after the credits are done playing. You get the SLF theater, right? That's very basic animation. I have to imagine that helps the production team because they get like a bit of breather in terms of, okay, we don't always have to have it be crazy action. We can also just have this little cute little short at the end. Because the fact that this show's only looking better with episodes in time, it's not looking worse, it's not looking more rough around the edges. The first half of this show looks rougher than the second half of the show so far. Make it make sense when the show started looking good and it's only getting better. You can just tell that this team had this in the oven for a long time. The staff behind it, very talented. And it's just consistent. When Sunraku is running for his life, his frantic sprinting feels so human, like he's running for his fucking life for a reason. Any one of these things he's not trying to look cool, he's running for the damn hills. Maybe he shouldn't run with knives, but when that thing's behind you, you can't really talk about safety in the house. It's just so good at what it does. The dramatic shots, like Wethermon? He starts popping off at the end. He goes from having his giant cloud hand and all his cool slashes to he's summoning like fire serpents, and I'm just like, we're just unlocking more and more. Like, it's one thing when a boss has like 3 or 4 moves you have to memorize. I think a lot of Soulsborne bosses, they can be summed down to 3 or 4 things. If you remember those, you're pretty much solid. This thing has like 20, man. Like, this thing is meant to be impossible, and I think even if the devs wanted it to be beaten in a way of waiting it out, when you have characters like Sunraku, no, they're gonna beat it because that's where the fun will come in. And the fact that he's willing to lose so much monetary value, I mean, he put all his money from that one bunny into those 2 blades there. I mean, shit, man. I love the idea of the helmet though. This is another thing that really makes it feel like a VR that you're interacting with. You could equip, and there's been plenty of video games where the helmet you're wearing, if sword falls on helmet instead of like your body, it has a chance to deflect, or it has more defense. That stuff is all programmable and you can do it. But there's no video game where you can individually move each part of your body like we can in our world, because it's impossible to without VR. And VR where it is, it's very clunky. It's not even close to something like this. It probably won't even be in our lifetime. But if it was to this degree, you could equip a beetle-like helmet and use it as a weapon as you're also doing everything else he's doing. It's those little moments that make it feel so immersive. And as I said last week, anyone who says like there's no threat of loss because it's just a video game, it's not like they're actually gonna die, even when you ignore, well, the NPC connections that you build, they have spent so much of their time, so much of their money, and to recoup all that loss and ever get a chance at this again, you root for your favorite sports teams. And even if you don't like sports, I'm not a sports guy, but I understand why people get salty when their favorite team doesn't win the Super Bowl, because they've been rooting for them and it feels like, God damn it, now we have a whole other year to try to do this again. It's the same thing. It's just wild when there are those people who act like, well, it's just a video. It's like, take a step out of your comfort zone just for a second. I do it for sports. I don't give a shit about sports, but I understand why people cheer for it. There are some UFC fights that have got me hyped up, but for the most part, that's just not my jam. I'm more of an esports guy, 100% am. That's just how I am. It's just a weird thing when a show like this has so many stakes, but they're doing stakes, I think, in a much more human way. It's not about life or death. It's about someone with a passion devoting so much of their time into something. And you can see the passion from the studio making it feel as immersive to us as it is to them. When shit's flying at him, when he's sprinting in first person, you can tell how impressive it is that he's dodging all that. This show is pure passion, pure gas, pure fire, and this is legitimately one of the best anime fights that I've seen personally. Maybe not even of the past year, like I think period. Like this is just, the more I talk about it, the more I realize how much I love it. I mean, like everything that the other two were doing too was really cool. I love their teamwork, I love their duo. It's just, the more you talk about this, the more it gets better. I can't wait to see where the next episode's gonna go. Let me know your thoughts, feelings, theories down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we have a full live reaction over on my Patreon, and I'll also give you a video shout out while you're over there. So today we have Dominic Hemby, Xrox, Conrad Sosin, Jesper, Antonio Rose, and Loki. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.